Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we're going to do this lovely scene. We're going to paint a painting from this reference of a lovely scene of a boat resting on a beach at sunset. I'm going to be explaining it step by step. I'm going to break down every tool, every technique, every color mix. I've got lots of cameras pointing from different angles so you can really see what's going on. To help me do that is my husband, John.
Hello.
He's the one who actually points the cameras at everything while I'm painting. So he's making sure that you have a very good view. Right now I'm painting this live. And so we're going to be going through this step by step, and John is going to be my co-pilot through this whole thing. If you're here for the live stream, couple of things to know. The traceable is on the website already if you want to use that, though I'm in a wild hair of craziness have decided to freehand the boat because sometimes I do things like that. And so if you wanted to know how you might draw that boat in, there's a good chance that I will be teaching that to you today. You can find that in the description. In the description below, you hit more, it opens it up. It'll tell you all the colors, the mixes, give you a link to the website. So that's a really, really helpful. And to our other social media, it's just all down there. I like to use all 50,000 characters of that. If you're here on the replay, this applies for you too. If you have a question, put your question all in caps. And if you're here for the live, maybe one of the moderators who are the lovely people with wrenches will be able to answer for you, or it will get answered live on the show. Did I mention this was live?
I think you said it was live.
Did I say it was live?
I think they know who I am.
And they know who you are.
But they don't know who Vigo is.
They don't know who Vigo is.
Vigo's are my cat co-pilot, who you can't see. He's back here somewhere.
He's your co-pilot.
He's my co-pilot.
It's your co-pilot. Alrighty then. I think there's nothing for us to do but to jump into today's class and go over the materials list. Materials. I have decided to do an 11 by 14 canvas today. And the reason I upped it from 9 by 12 is that I think it's going to be easier to paint the boat a little larger than to try to do it tiny. So sometimes in some paintings, sizing up or increasing the size, while it does increase the effort it takes to create the painting, like the physical effort that you need to create the painting, it makes certain tasks a little bit easier because you're not trying to get in there with minute details that you can barely see. On my colors, I have Mars Black, Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Quinacridone Magenta, Cad Red Medium, Yellow Ochre, Cad Yellow Medium, Dioxazine Purple, Titanium White here, and then this is Satin Glazing Liquid by Golden Artist Colors. It is a slow drying extender for acrylic colors, so it's a medium I use to slow down the drying time of my paint and to also be able to glaze over dry layers. It does both of those things. It's the only product that I recommend for this because it does two things in one thing. It's two-in-one thing, and I like that about it. You will also see me pull out this handy dandy little bottle of water and mist my paint. This is just water. There's no other medium in it. There's no secret trick that I've got in the bottle. Sometimes I get asked that. Amy Overt, is this the same picture we painted in the watercolors? Yeah. Because I thought I would aggravate myself again, Amy. I thought I would go for it again, take it too. And also because we really thought about doing it a lot in acrylic. I got a lot of requests for doing that in acrylic. And so I thought that'll be really, really nice. So hopefully we have a bunch of people who wanted to do it in wanted to do it, but didn't want to do it in watercolor showing up today. But we're going to be doing it a little bit different because it's not a line and wash today. It's a layered paint, which I'm going to enjoy very, very much. Now there's nothing to do but put up step one. Step one is going to be fun. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little ruler here and I'm going to mark the canvas at the halfway point. I think I'll grab some maybe yellow ochre because it's light and I can paint over it easily. So this is 11 inches, which means 5.5 is the halfway point right there. And when I know where that is, I'm going to come down just a little bit, just a titch, about not quite a full inch, but almost an inch. And I'm going to just lightly make a line with my T-square. I'm going to flip this over. And again, lightly make a little line. And I used a light yellow ochre, so when I paint over it, it will vanish. Because we want it to be able to go away. Poof. Poof. Now I'm going to dry this line of paint because I need to put down tape. We're not going to go to another step. John's just going to talk to you while we're drying it. And then I'm going to put down some low tack tape and I'll show you how you do that, but it's all in the same step. Thank you, Heather C. Amy's like excited, like, yes, watercolors and acrylics. Yay.
Yeah, so we're going to do both those. I got to go. What is my cat playing with? He's always, I don't get after that. You know when you get a cat in the ground and they're just like, what is this interesting thing on the ground? I gotta go get it. No, don't. Hey, give me that thing. I don't know what he's eating. Ah, cat getting something off the ground. Who knows? Can't eat things off the ground, cat. Weird behavior. Anyway, so we got a cat in the studio. He's supposed to be over here helping me, but he's distracting me. So that's what you got to hear about while she was drying.
What?
Me rescuing something that the cat was trying to taste off the ground.
It's like having a toddler. A very, very dangerous, murdery toddler. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pull my low tack tape out. This particular brand is Stick. And it's just a tape that doesn't have such a strong adhesion that you use for painting, like a painter's tape. And I'm going to come below this line. I might have to add on a little piece there. I just shorted it by like a 1/4 inch. Which I don't often do.
Just get a new piece of tape.
That's what I'm going to do. Sometimes that happens where you're just like, I shorted it just a titch, but I don't want this little edge here to not be tight. So I'm going to grab another little piece of tape and line it up there just to make sure it goes around my edges nicely. Sometimes it's nice to have it go around the edges nicely. Because really it's about keeping this crisp edge. So everything above this tape is going to be sky. This painting today, I'm going to make it as much about the sky as about the boat. So it's a big sky class if you like sky classes. It's going to be all about them clouds and that drama. I'm going to get a lot more dramatic than what we have here, though. I need more drama. It doesn't serve my full drama needs. I need it to be like a telenovela of a painting. So much drama. So much. Twists and turns. You're going to be shocked halfway through. I never knew, right? Okay, so that's all burnished down. You'll notice that I push that down with my fingers. What I'm trying to do is make sure that the paint doesn't run underneath my tape while I'm doing this work. Now, this is the first step. John's like, what? Step 2. So to get my sky in, I'm going to use my 1-inch oval mop. This is a synthetic oval mop. It is the Princeton Select line of oval mop. But in that line, they have 3 versions of this. There's an all black, all white, and one that's brown and darker brown. You only want the one that's brown and darker brown. The white one and the black one are natural hair and they will carry too much water. They're lovely for watercolor if you ever accidentally bought one, but they're a little bit problematic for acrylic paint. I'm going to go ahead and get it a little bit wet. That's priming it up, kind of wipe it off on my towel. I'm going to get some glazing medium in my brush here just to get it kind of going. And I'm going to grab a little bit of white. Start working a little bit of white into my brush. And I'm going to go across with this white, and it's got glazing medium in it. So what I'm trying to do is slow down the drying time of my white paint. I could also use Golden Open white titanium white paint, and that would also stay open. But what I'm trying to do is keep my paint open, not drying for just a second, so that I can come in and mix a little bit of Ultramarine blue and Phthalo Blue in a 1-to-1 mixture together. Kind of come in from down low. And this is my first little gradation. I'm going to come through here. Adding, interestingly enough, a little more white. Kind of lighten here, actually, weirdly, in the center a bit. Just going back and forth. And then as I come up, I'm going to add more and more dark blue. So I'm going to come here, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue together. This kind of makes what is almost a cerulean blue. Correction, cyan. There's a lot of blues. Sometimes you mix up their names. I'm going to continue to add this in. You'll see I'm coming down from the top.
Many shades of blue.
Many shades of blue. This first layer is the hardest layer because the canvas is dry. And I'm trying to get it to take the paint for the first layer. I'm really going through my glazing liquid on this. Oh no, I think I have enough in this one bottle to get through this painting. All right, where I have that stripe, I'm going to rinse my brush out a little bit. I'm going to dry it off in my paper towel. And come back into my white and blue. And again, I have enough glazing liquid that this hasn't really dried on me yet. And I'm going to make sure that these two little areas are fairly blended coming up. I'm going to wipe off my brush, get back into my white and my blue. I'm coming up from the bottom, going over it, and taking it up to the top. Just trying to get this nice gradation of blue. Again, a little bit of white. Get my blue involved again. Just bringing it up here. A nice blend. There we go. We have that nice start. Okay, it's a good beginning. So it takes sometimes a minute to get to the good beginning. And if you haven't done this before, maybe it takes you 1 or 2 tries, right? Where you do it and it's a little bit stripy, you dry it and you try again. That's the thing. If this blend is like troublesome for you, you just want to try again, try again, try again.
Try.
Now I'm going to dry.
Okay, dry. Now, while we're drying, we're going to have a little commercial break for those who are partially, because that's what it does. And those who are not will be here because I think if you like YouTube Red or something. But basically, if I hit the add button during the commercial, during the hair drying, then it puts one here for sure. And then YouTube waits at least like a certain number of minutes before it does another one. So hopefully it won't just throw a random ad in front of her during the painting part. So that's why I try to do that when I do. So this is one of the ways that we support what we do, and we really appreciate all of you guys being here, liking, comment, subscribing, sharing, and supporting us by doing all the little human-y things down there in the comments below. And for all of our patrons, thank you guys so much. It's just, I can't tell you how lovely it is to be able to do this, to help people along on their journey, to see you guys here painting with us. Every day. It's one of those things that I just absolutely love doing. So thank you guys for being part of our life. So as soon as we're done drying this, we'll go back to painting. I don't think it'll take us that long. I mean, like, watching paint dry, it's a thing. It's what we do here a lot, is just watch the paint dry. But at least we get to learn something as the paint dries. And you have to thoroughly dry that glazing liquid makes it so that it takes a lot longer to dry than you would think. So it's kind of important to really make sure you thoroughly
dry it. That does really help in the next techniques because, like, if you don't thoroughly dry it, it can lift up the underlayer and just aggravate your whole day and make like clean spots that are really hard to repair. You can, but it's just an aggravation, and you don't really need that aggravation in your painting day, you know? It's just not something that you want. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to get a lot more white, and I'm going to get my glazing liquid again and kind of really work this through. I'm still using my 1-inch oval mop, and I'm going to come down here over on my left-hand side, and I'm going to kind of lighten the sky here, brushing back and forth, and then I taper it up. I'm I'm going to come across here and kind of lighten it lower at the tape. A little glazing liquid. And just sort of blending in here. And I may even brush upward a little bit. This is just going to help me have my orange and yellow and everything. This is another way to go in that transition when you've got a yellow to blue sky and you're just trying to not have it completely aggravate you where it goes green. So it's just a way to avoid the green. I'm going to rinse out my brush a little bit. Put a little more glazing medium on my palette. We don't use the gloss. I actually prefer the gloss just because I like how it deepens the colors and it makes them look much richer, but it's so shiny that with the camera lights on, you can't see the painting at all when I'm teaching it. So we use the semi. It's the satin so that it doesn't do that. So you can see I've lightened this up quite a bit. I'm going to come in and get these two together again. A little glaze involved. And I'm going to come up and kind of glaze and deepen the top of the surface. Wipe off my brush. And then I'm going to just take glazing liquid to sort of blend these two little areas together. So I've really created a rich area of color. And blending it in here. I wipe off my brush with my towel. And I'm just softly kind of blending this whole area in. This is going to give us the room to have the drama that we really, really want.
The drama.
We want some drama. We do. We want that drama. We want it to be big drama. All right. And then another annoying, dry the surface.
Well, we can thank Beth while we're getting ready to
Thank
dry.
you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna talk about something serious while you're paint drying.
We are?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, enjoy your serious conversation while I dry this. And again, you know, this is just about slowing the drying time down of the paint so I can blend edges together.
So, can you? I want to make sure I have a really bad microphone right now. I've got a bad headset. But so here's the deal. Don't use heat. Heat will not help speeding up the process of the drying, especially with the glazing. It just won't. The heat actually can affect things and cause it to do not so nice things, like you get a little bit of color shrinkage. You'll get some color shift. You might get some shrinkage. So heat's really not good for drying your paint. So don't use the heat setting. Just use air. And that's a very serious public service message for paint drying public, pursuant to paint protocol. Not to be pedantic. All right. So, falling down a pun hole. I don't know what they call that. It just happens. She's sure it's going to dry soon. Dry, thoroughly dry. I'm gonna adjust some colors here too, because that I'm gonna adjust that a little bit because it's a little. See that her blue is very rich. It's very hard for me to catch that blue, as rich it is, because of the way that the camera is. It's just one of those challenging. Oh, there we go. We're getting closer there. Oh man, I was just noticing how good your blue looks. It's blue. This blue is always one of the ones that gives me trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to adjust some of my light settings here to see if I can get it dialed in a little bit more
while we're going.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. We get a little bit there.
So now I'm going to come in and grab a little bit of my white, and I'm going to get into my yellow. And again, as I said, we're going to be a little more dramatic with our sky. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start with my yellow, putting my yellow in. Kind of bring this back and forth. I'm still in my 1-inch oval mop. Wipe off my brush a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad yellow over to my Cad red. Mixing that in there. If I get a little Quin Magenta into it, it gets a little peachy. Blend this in together, going back and forth. Get a little more white into this. Come across here on the low. Blend it in. A little more white. And then I get a little bit into the blue. Gonna rinse off. Just go over, I rinsed off and I dried it off, and I'm just going to kind of go over this little area that I've already painted just with water and my damp brush. It's just lightly damp. Just kind of blend that out some. Just dancing the brush across the little horizon there.
Really nice.
A little bit of highlight. And kind of come back and blend in between these blues. Now here's the great news about this. We're going to have so many clouds and so much like gorgeousness going on there that a lot of this is going to find that it is also kind of blended in with the clouds and everything. I'm going to just lightly dust across here and make this a little bit uneven. A little more ultramarine, and now I kind of brush it up. I'm getting some directionality going in it. gonna rinse that out. Let's call that a step. I'm gonna put this brush down. And I'm gonna get my big round boy involved. This is my number 20 Raphael d'Artagnan Hog Bristle Brush. So this is a large round brush, and these are one you should have in your brush bucket. You don't have to have this brand, but what you do want is a large scruffy brush. Hog bristle, if you can do it. If you're vegan, you could try Catalyst or one of the synthetic hog alternatives, because they do make those now that are actually pretty good. But I like the real thing, and it's made from the bristles of a boar. So it's very useful in that way. I'm going to get a little bit wet and dry it off. I'm going to go ahead and load up a little bit of my white paint onto the toe of the brush. And I'm going to come here, kind of handle up, and just dance a little bit of a upward cloud. It's okay, I can hang up on it. That's why I wore my watch today, so I could hang up on the spammers. These are short little brush strokes. I'm just creating these distant up high clouds. Just dancing on here. Work it into the brush a little bit. You want a little bit drier brush on it. These are sort of these upward, atmospheric little, you see them from space. They're like up there, up high in the cold, cold air. Just flying over the scene. I'm going to continue. This kind of comes back a little bit. These are a little bit across the way. Just on the toe of the brush. Now I can do that because this comes to a fairly nice point, and you might need a smaller brush to get yours to pull this off. Kind of just dry brush these up here. Just going over the canvas. You can see the canvas is showing through. It's a little bit up high. I think some areas a little stronger than others. Might get a little bit of my yellow and white together. And come across here. Just these distant little light clouds that are here. These are a little more in the yellows. This is dancing up. I make it really irregular shapes. I'm trying to break up those shapes, break up that color, break up that space. Come here and get a little bit of yellow and white. I'm going to come right in the middle and Kind of dancing in a regular little bright area. A little more white on here. That's looking good. I'm gonna rinse that out. Call that a bit of a step. Now I want some kind of purple drama over here. So I think though I want it to be a little lighter than my Dioxazine. I'm gonna take my Quinacridone Magenta and my Ultramarine Blue together. And a little bit of my white. I don't want this brush wet, so have a towel like nearby to get the extra water out. I'm gonna come up here. And I'm gonna lightly start to wiggle in this purple cloud. And as I come out, I kind of lighten up my brush. Right, so it's strongest in the center here, but then as I work it out, I'm lightening that pressure, helping make this fluffier. When it comes further away, it'll be a little darker than it is here at that point. We're going to make this a little more dramatic. Just a little lighter as it comes down. Now this kind of work, it is actually kind of taxing on your body. It's a little physically exhausting. So if you're feeling a little tired, that's not unusual. I'm not saying clouds are a workout, but they're a little bit of a workout.
Mm-hmm.
And get a little more white on my brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of my Quin and my Cad Red. Mix this into where I have the purple. And we'll warm up the front of this cloud a couple places. More white in there. If I need to wipe it off on a paper towel, just so that I have enough of it off for dry brushing, I do. Your paper towel is a very important tool. And I'll bring that warmth in the cloud kind of coming back. Just bring that across there. A little bit of cloud. A little bit of color. Back into my Ultramarine blue. And Quin again. And get a much more blue cloud this time. Very light underneath on my pressure. I like to get the blue a little bit lighter as I come out. So I'll add a little more white to it. Adding some interesting shapes. Bring this down here and kind of dust under the cloud. As I'm coming through, I can get a little of my blue mixed in. Make sure that the underneath of this cloud is a little bit blue. A little more white. Wipe it off on the paper towel if I need to. Dust the top of this with just a little more white. Creates a little bit of differentiation between those two clouds. Build up those little layers. And get back into that pink mix I had from earlier. Maybe a little more Cad Red this time. It's too much paint, so I offload a little bit of the paint. Just dance a little pink there. I can mix that pink into my purple and kind of make a half tone and come back in and even pink out this cloud as it comes back. So where we're closer to the light, we're warming up our clouds. And where we're further back, we're darkening them. I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to come back in. Get my little purple color going again. Darken that up a little bit along that little line. And making sure I'm working in a dry brush. Because if my brush is too wet, I can lift the paint up underneath. I can do a blue. Kind of come under here and maybe add a little shadow to the underside of our cloud. Get back into my pink. Make little wispies off the clouds. I shouldn't work it too much here because I'm gonna have a big giant boat in the middle of all that. So I want to make sure I don't do all of like my best work over in that little far corner. I'm gonna rinse this out, dry it off. And come into my Cad Red, my Quinacridone Magenta, and a little bit of white. Maybe grab some yellow in there so it's a little more orange. It's sort of a peachy color. Start to make a little bit of cloud forming here. Put a little cloud drama down there. Get into my Quinacridone and a little Ultramarine blue. And work a dark little cloud up here.
Cloudy work.
It is cloud work, isn't it?
Now, if you don't have this brush, what other brush could you use for those clouds? Asks Gwen.
You're going to need some type of round, scruffy brush. you need a brush that does this. So you don't have to have this exact brand, but you're going to want a round brush that comes with a tip, that lets you dry brush, that lets you fluff out clouds. It's just one of those brushes that you want in your brush bucket. Oh, thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. You know, I will sometimes do clouds with the corner of a hog bristle brush, but it's something that's like fluffy that you can do this sort of scruffy work with. You need a scruffy work brush. Sometimes a brush that's been ruined for everything else makes a fantastic cloud brush.
Mm-hmm.
Little tiny darker clouds kind of coming in here. And then some little kind of coming down into the sunset low. Just on the toe. And a little bit here down low. All right, let's dry that off. We'll come back. I'm going to dry everything and then I'll show you what you do next.
Okay, drying time. So thank you guys for everything that's going, for all the support out here in chat. I really just can't say how much we appreciate what you guys are doing out there to help us. All the moderators, all of the likes, the comments, the subscribes, the shares, all the patrons, you guys, thank you. Big thank you. So, yeah, and if you haven't had a chance to join us in the lives, you should definitely try it. It's pretty good. There's a lot of cool...
So just real quick, I want to show Gwen the brushes that I have for clouds. So you saw the big hog round. I've got smaller hog rounds. I have fan brushes that I like to use for clouds because the corner of these are fantastic. Deerfoot stippler I like to use for clouds. And of course, a round blender. Right? These do fabulous clouds as well. So these are like my cloud tools that I like to use. I don't have any of my blown out brushes. And if I don't have that, then sometimes I will work the corner of a hog bristle braid, like just on its corner like this. So those are my brushes that I use for clouds. These are Princeton Selects. This is the number 12 round, and this is the 3/8 Deerfoot. So those are really terrific. And you'll see me through different classes use different brushes in the clouds. Now I'm going to want to come in here and I'm going to grab a little bit of my Cad Yellow into my Cad Red. Yeah, new step. 2 yellow. Get into my magenta here. I'll blend that out a little bit. I got into my magenta where I made it too yellow. I'm just using my number 8 round here. Coming to the edge of this and kind of give some highlights to that. A little more in my magenta. Bring it out towards the edges some. Just bring a little light forward. Can add a little white to it. Put it on the forward face of some of these. Touch just the little forward face of some of it. Just starts to give you a little bit of drama. I'm going to get a lot more white involved. I haven't rinsed my brush at all. Kind of add a little highlighting or haloing around these clouds. Work that into your brush, but it's still kind of a dry brush. You can see the load on it, it's pretty dry. Little yellow, little white. Kind of a little broken area here. Just adding that in. Come in and get a little bit of my quinacridone and my ultramarine blue again. Wipe that out on my towel. Kind of add some shadows. me get a little white down here for this. I'll lightly blend that in. I want to get a little magenta and cad red. I'm going to come under here a little more with a little white in it. Kind of warm up some of the underside. So the big thing again is to keep these brushes dry, not overly wet. Just adding a little warmth to these clouds. When you're up on them, here's another thing to know. When you're up on them, you've got to step back from your clouds a little bit and take them in as a totality. Because a lot of times when you're in them, you won't be loving it. It will not be your favorite. When you're up in your clouds, up close on your canvas, but when you get back, you'll love it. Add a little bit of white. And a little bit of light going back and forth here. And up here, I want to make sure that I want to make sure that there's some depth in that cloud, in that upper corner. Just kind of work this one in and make sure that there's some good depth. Just blend it forward. Sometimes I turn my handle up and I work the brush upside down a little bit.
Yeah.
To get a nice angle for my brush stroke. All right, when I have all that in, I'm going to come in and take a little bit of I'm going to take a round brush. This is my number 2 round in my precision line. So small detail brush, whatever small detail brush you have. I'm going to grab a little bit of my white and yellow together. And go ahead and white line some of these clouds. Just a little bit of extra drama. Just pulling a little bit there. Just in the forward face of that cloud. There we go. Highlighting that. And some little yellow there. Just a little dimensionality here and there. Add a little pink to it. So I can come in with a detail brush. And add a lot to the clouds that I have. Oops, not enough white in that one. It's a little bit of drama. Let's look at it overhead. Ah, so we have a nice little dramatic sky we worked from. All right, so I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to peel it. If all goes well, I have a very crisp and level horizon line from which to work. But to do the next part, I am going to want to tape this line as well, and so I'm going to want to dry everything super thoroughly. Super thoroughly.
So it's going to be a good dry.
Good dry.
So we're going to get good full dry while we're doing that. And everyone can take a stretch and stand up and make sure you stretch your toes and all the way to your nose. That way, when you're sitting in the chairs, you don't get stiff and sore. It's just a good habit to get up and stretch and move around and do those things. A lot of times in these lives, it's hard for Cinnamon to do that because, it's a little longer. But we're sort of an hour into this. And, you want to make sure that you give yourself a little rest when it comes. So if you need to, you can hit pause, go do your thing, and then come back, and we'll be here waiting for you. But you do need to thoroughly dry and make sure that it's ready for that next layer. And man, that just came together beautifully, that cloud. The sky just came together beautifully.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy it. They're always fun. I like to zhuzh them up a little bit.
Yep.
Zhuzh them. Now, another thing I want to say to you guys, when you invest in your hog bristles, right, you don't have to get this. This is a really great brand, but you don't have to get this brand. But they do tend to fluff up. Like one of the things, and you always want to wash them vigorously before using them the first time because they have crazy sizing in them and little hairs that break off. And so they need a little bit of care before you put them into your painting. And it is not unusual for them to definitely get fluffier and fluffier. Like this one has little wild hairs that are just everywhere. That never bothers me. But if you're not prepared to know the brush is going to do that, it could really freak you out. But it's totally normal. It feels weird, but it's totally normal. It's a normal part of growing up when you paint. Grabbing another piece of tape. I could have used the same tape. But to the degree that I can, man, I want to line this up.
Mm-hmm.
And the trick is it's got to be back just enough that there's not a white sliver that I have to contend with. But I need it to be very level. And it wants to fight. But we say to it, no! And if all goes well, you have a second level line that you rub down. All right.
Thoroughly burnished.
Thoroughly burnished.
Okay, so you're ready for the next.
I'm ready for the next.
I think this should be stepped here. Which step that?
Well, wasn't the burnishing part of the step?
It was part of the step.
Okay.
But I just make sure I got that in there.
Okay.
Because I don't know that I stepped it.
You don't know. You're not sure? I'm going to grab a brush. It's called a Bright. This is a number 10 Bright. And I'm going to get it wet. And come here and take some of my two blues together. And a little bit of my white. And I'm going to come back and forth, and I'm going to brush the water down just a little bit. This is a very sliver of a water's edge. Just back and forth. This is a sliver of a water's edge. Get some white involved. Coming forward, I'm going to get into my peach. Little cad red and white. I'm just kind of making. So what is basically happening, if you're not familiar with doing water or seascapes, is water is a mirror. So it reflects the sky above it. So we're always playing with the idea of what the sky color is and how the light is going to play across the water. Now I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Maybe it comes forward over here on the blue just a little bit. Back out into the white. I'm going to get back into my blue and white. Brush that back in here. It's all right if it gets a little purple. Brush a little of that purple back here. So I'm just picking up colors from the sky. A little bit of the magenta. I'm going to get a little bit of my cad yellow and quin together. And brush a little bit of warmth down here. Now I'm going to, I definitely want to make sure that I have enough space to add my sand in. Because I'm going to come back with my sand is a pretty hard layer. So I'll make sure I have enough kind of there to do that. Brushing it forward, kind of a level line coming back. And then I'm going to take my burnt sienna, smidge of my Mars black, and paint along the shoreline. Get some glazy medium to improve the flow of the paint. Sand color is a lot of color, so right now I'm just getting a base on.
Let's see here. Is there any rhyme to which of those three little water things you're using? Like, because it seems like you're
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one here that I rinse out my dirtiest, and then I clean the brush a little more, and if I need really fresh water, I use that third one. So this just, my dirtiest water will be here, then my next dirtiest water will be here, and then my clean water is there. And that makes sure I always have some clean water to work from if I need a bright color. I'm going to just really brush this all in, kind of around the sides. Not really super important, no rhyme or reason to it at this stage other than I need a rust brown base. I'm going to get a nice crisp edge along here though. All right. Now that hot mess will become our beach and our ocean. Let's dry everything, and then we'll pull the tape and see how that came out.
Okay. So, yeah, having if you're, one of the things you can do is just change your paint often, early and often, if that's one of the things that you find there. Clean paint really, or clean water really helps with your painting because it helps not get different muddled colors. So, yeah, especially as you're using lighter colors, yellows and whites, it's good to get fresh paint or fresh water. So, yeah, getting our base sand work in the beach. I always like the sunsets on these. I guess it could be a sunrise. We don't really know whether this is a sunset or a sunrise. Guess we don't. We don't know where in the world this was taken.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so now we have our water line going back and we're coming up onto our beach. I'm going to take a small bright And I'm going to work a little bit of white into my watercolor. Grab a little yellow into it. And I'm going to come here and underneath this, and I'm going to make little highlights in the water.
What's that?
I'm just about to lose my side reference. For some reason, the iPad isn't charging.
Oh. Yeah. I'll do that.
That's okay. I have my front one. I can get through. So I'm just making sure that this is highlighted. Get a little of this coming down. And I'm going to kind of also highlight along here. Short little brush strokes coming out. Get a little yellow. Just brush a little yellow down the water. Just a little glow. See? Just a little glow. Rinse that out. And now we have this big job, which I wish I had a bigger Deerfoot stippler for so much, but I don't. So I'm going to go in, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my Ultramarine blue over to my burnt sienna. I'm going to use my Deerfoot stippler. Get a little bit of white on here. And I'm going to just stipple, 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 stipple. I thought about splattering. I thought long and hard about splattering.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I need to do now is just kind of create an overall value. Almost didn't do this painting because of the sand. So any brush you have that does a good stipple or stencil will do this. Little burnt sienna in there. You could probably also get away with using a fan brush. Or again, like ample splatter.
Amy's a fan of the splatter.
The splatter technique? Yeah, the splatter is like a quick way to do the beach. But we have a lot of objects here that we don't want to have splattered. And sometimes we get rough in and then we do splatter like for the top layer. If you're using a fan, you'll have to like move the fan brush in a circle to prevent pattern. Because the big enemy of the technique here is that the brush makes a repeated stamping pattern. It's going to look just dark for a second. And then we'll lighten it up and add a lot of color to it. Now be careful coming along the beach edge. I turn the brush in my hand. And I do try to work pretty quickly. One big trick is to make sure that your texture goes over the edge of the canvas. Doesn't have to completely wrap, but you want it to at least make the edge, otherwise you'll end up with a weird stripe. Another tool that would do this really well is a sponge.
Oh, okay.
So I might get involved. This is taking me so long. And then do some detail with the stippler at the end. So what I mean by that is I could mix up a good grip of this. A grip. It's a technical term. And I could use a sponge to stipple it out too. Sea sponge would be great. Dark sand takes forever. And get a little purple going. I'm going to take a little bit of my Ultramarine blue and my Quin Magenta together and mix it over into my brown just a little bit. A little white. Paint a little bit of this color near the distant shore. A little purple. It is a very meditative, calming way to get something in. A little bit of purple there. Take a little bit of my yellow ochre, and my burnt sienna together. And then very lightly mix this back, but letting a lot of that purple show. I wish it was like this big. When the brush is drier, I take it back here because it makes smaller, less noticeable marks. And then as I'm freshly loaded, it's more up here where you see bigger spots where that's like, could be like stones. So if you don't have this brush, you could use like a house sponge or sea sponge to get a similar kind of pattern texture.
Just a spongy thing.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I get a little purple and bring it back here. Takes about 5 or 6 layers to get there. And I'm going to take a little bit of this yellow ochre over to this burnt sienna. Much stronger. Much heavier load. I'm going to grab a little bit of my white. A little more white. But what I don't want is a bright white. It has to be kind of a uniform mix like you see in my brush there. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll rinse out because the paint starts to dry on my brush. Everybody doing okay? In the long and endless tip list?
This is a really good one. Everyone's really enjoying this. Just a lot of lovely chat going on. This, the beaches is forming here, and then we're gonna get the boat on.
With any luck?
Yeah, we gotta get the sand first.
Gotta get some sand going. Actually, if you grab a sea sponge, I may switch into it to speed this up. See if I can't get us going faster than this small little brush, which is a bit like kind of trying to clean the Aegean Seables here. It should be by what the watercolor is. A nice old one. And then it's a nice small one. All right, so this is a sea sponge. I'm gonna go ahead and get this wet in my clean water. I'll put this little brush to the side for a second. I'm going to take my yellow ochre here over to my burnt sienna and get a little of my titanium white. I'm going to load up a bunch. You can see it taps out a much faster amount of sand. I can get my brush wet with a mister too. So it's yellow ochre, titanium white, burnt sienna. And then I can soften this stipple by taking my sponge to the side. I pinch it where I want to have more control over the amount of sponging that it does. And turn the sponge. I don't do this with my cats because, I wouldn't want that on my skin. This is just okay because these are titanium white, which honestly, if you haven't been paying attention, they use in food. You've been eating paint this whole time. They're going to take it out because it's not good for you to eat. Like I've been saying for years, don't eat paint. We're just going to tap that up and down. Tap it up and down. Tap it up and down. Load up. I get this on here and then I come back with the sponge and then I blend it out. Aw. And then blend it out. Now I do want to kind of get into some purple. So I'm going to take a little bit of my Quin and my Ultramarine blue. More Ultramarine blue. Try to get a little bit of this mix. There's just this crazy purple hue up front. Can't decide if it'd be better to get it with the brush or the sponge. Is that an Okie?
That's Anoki looking for Vico, who's on the laugh. He's gonna go find her now. Meow, meow. Vico, hey Vico, meow. He's just giving me kitty kisses. He's gonna go right off to find her.
All right, so we're just tapping this out. We're just working at it. You just stay at it till you get there. It's just a process. Bring a little bit of this pink back. Get a little more white. And a little more blue. It starts to become kind of a nice gray color with a slight purple cast to it. Just kind of blend in this purple. It's like a little bit lighter. Back at the shoreline. So where I want to have more control, I pinch. A little more white in there. Blend that out some. And put my sponge to the side for a minute. Get back into my Deerfoot stippler. Go into my white, my burnt sienna, and my ultramarine blue. I'm gonna make a distinct gray. Tap out some light petals on the sand. More distinct. Maybe a little more burnt sienna sometimes. A little more yellow ochre. Just mixing up the colors.
Just speckling them throughout the sand.
That's all you can do.
You can make them uneven, even.
Uneven, even. It's a journey. Sand is a long and arduous journey in the speckling technique. Up and down with my Deerfoot stippler now.
It's about sand.
So much blue into the white. Sprinkling a little bits of those little gray stones. Where I want to soften it, I just go back over it again and again with the brush. Or you can come back with the sponge to soften it. Mm. Get a little bit of my glazing medium on here just so that the flow is a little bit better. My splatter brush is in the laundry room. Do you think you can grab it for me, John?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to resort to splatter.
Where in here would it be?
Like on the laundry, the red splatter. It's not by the. I could get up.
I found it.
Okay.
This one.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna take a paper towel and make a paper towel mask. And what that is that's just it's just a paper towel blocking like this, just so that when I splatter it doesn't go up in my sky. I'm gonna get this a little bit wet. And go ahead and load that into my yellow ochre. Again, not going to do this with my cad yellow for any reason. So this is basically a stiff toothbrush. Now I'm going to put out a little more white. And another little bit here. But that's for mixing up there. And I'm going to mix up a very light color and then splatter it out. And we'll see where that gets us. We'll find out where we go. We'll see where it gets us. Find a good artist knife that I can mix with. All right, so I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow ochre. This is an artist knife. And I'm going to mix into my white. Take whatever is left of my brown here. Mix that in. A little purple in there to gray it. But what I want is a very, very even mixture. That's why I'm mixing this with my artist knife. And what I'm not doing is getting my, not getting into my ochres. I mean, my cads. I dip my brush in water and I'm coming here and grab a little of my black here. See if I can't mix a very light gray. Thank you, Dominique. I appreciate that so much. I hope I get to the boat sometime before the next century. Making a very, very light color. Oh, such a journey to get there.
There it is, though.
Now I have to figure out how to get it right up to this little edge here. You got to blend it because I don't want that stripe. I can either move the water forward in the sand or I can move this
right
back. Those are my choices. Either one is fine. Get a little bit of my yellow ochre. Softer splatter. Because I don't want to splatter my sky. I may put my paper towels back out. Just a little bit further back this time. Just to make sure that I'm safe from it. Try to get a little bit of my lighter color in there. All right, with any luck, we got there. That was a long journey to a beach. I'm going to dry this with my hairdryer now and go, woohoo, it's finally done.
It is. We're there. The beach is done and the sky is done. And now we can move on to having the wonderful boat in there. So this is a bit of a journey. It's another, we're almost 2 hours in, so it's another time to stretch if you can. And, you know, those types of things. So thank you guys for all hanging with us through this one. It's a longer one, which is fun, because these tend to have a bit more complexity to them. And when you get done, they are just so great to hang on the wall. I mean, it's really worth the time to put in to get these, because they look so magnificent hung up there on the wall. So yeah, just bring it to completion. I promise. Just you too will love them, just all the way. And this is Sienna's drying it really thoroughly, because you don't want your little dots to smear and turn into smudges and not be nice little dotty dot sand particle things. Man, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's cats upstairs playing, and it sounds like there's 2 elephants up there running around in circles, just blum, 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 blum. That's because they're jumping off the furniture and banking off the walls and doing their little kitty thing. They do that a lot. And you've dried it.
And I've dried it.
And
we've barely gotten there, but I've done it.
I think we're a good third through.
Oh yeah, we're
2/3.
Yeah, we're 2/3 through.
We have a boat left.
Well, we're gonna do a little light line along the shoreline.
All right, I'll
little
give you a
white
new step.
and a little blue. I'm gonna kind of come along my little shoreline. All right, let's look at that overhead. Better.
Beautiful.
Okay, then I'm going to take a little bit of my white here and exaggerate.
Oh, yeah.
Little tiny amount of light coming up the water from the distance. Just a little bit. Just because I can. Now I have to sketch the boat in, which I'll need my white stripe dry. It doesn't have to, we can make this a step, but I need to have it dry to sketch my boat in.
Just try it in. I guess that was that was okay. We'll do a new step after that.
We're
That was
gonna
just a little lining. It was a mini step.
Freehand the boat in like we didn't need this much aggravation. I highly recommend using the traceable.
So, yeah, that'll just make a little mini step. We just wanted to line it. I was worried that we might be doing more there than just putting that the single line on there. But that's okay. We have so many step buttons we can push, so we can make all the steps all we want. We just gotta make sure that we thoroughly dry. Thoroughly dry. Okay, we're dried.
We're dry.
Now we're going to go on to the boat steps.
We're going to go onto the boat steps.
All right, this will be...
Lord help us. We're onto the boat. I'll put some more brown out. I really used any green. Okay, now I'm going to sketch this boat in freehand. Wish me luck. I'm going to take an angle brush to do my drawing. Oh, why? I think this got unplugged. The charger? I think the charger got unplugged. So let's take a little bit of my brown, black, just use that for sketching color. I'm going to say the base of my boat is down here and kind of towards the right. And then really coming up here almost into this space. I think I got to make it over a little bit though. Yeah, I need my iPad for a second because I have a little grid to follow.
Okay.
Can you check if it's plugged in? All right. So I'm going to say my boat comes in over from the side, about that far in. I'm going to bring this up at an angle. It's okay, I don't know what it is.
This one here.
Let me unplug and replug it back in. That was not helpful. Technology. Erg. All right. And then sketch this little forward mass down. Use my brush to kind of create the width of this. This may have been one of the few times I should have used the traceables.
It's kind of fun. We get to see you paint in the boat. How are you doing? Do you need to take a break? Amy would like to know. I would like to know too.
Like, other than to run away because the boat's in? No, I'm okay. All right. Trying to see if I can see it again. Should have given you my grid reference.
If you send it to me, I can put it in here. You can airdrop it to me.
My worry is I put this too far over.
Well, you can change it.
No, it's kind of in now.
You boated it. The boat has hit the shore.
The boat has hit the shore. Join that down. And that's got quite a steep curve over to this side here. So what I may do is try to it's almost to the halfway point over here and down here. Seems impossible, but that's what it is.
That's how it goes.
I'm going to bring this down a little bit. It's a little bit at an angle. And then the hole is going to kind of come in and curve into that. I'm using a 1/4 inch angle brush. Now, I'm doing kind of a little rough jig here to kind of show the slats of the boat. I'm going to do a similar little run here on both sides. All right. I think I'll just paint that all in for a second. Because it's just, it is what it is.
Right. The boat.
It is what it is now.
But it looks good. It's where the boat would go.
It is where the boat would go. Man, I've got to remember boats and cars. I don't paint boats and cars.
You seem to be painting this boat just
Or
fine.
trains. Architectural things.
I think you're doing good.
And just paint this all in. You guys use the traceable. It's based off the photographic reference, so you're safe. Or be brave with me. Now I've got a little cabin that goes off the back here. I've got to think about. I may want to dry everything.
It's probably good. Give it a quick dry.
Let me give it a quick dry.
Yeah. You guys need to dry yours along here too. That way, when you you do the next layers, they're gonna have to have this thoroughly dry, or it's gonna muddy up when you get to the wood parts. You're gonna start going wood, and the wood has to have the layers of lightness. So, I think you got it pretty good. I think you did pretty good with the boat. It looks pretty boaty to me.
Well, you are on my team.
We're on the 11th team step.
We're on the 11th millionth step. So maybe I will sketch a little bit, make sure I'm thinking the right. Well, that's not going to work at all. Purple, come here. So this angle is, and this angle need to sort of match up. And then it comes back a little bit. It's just like a little box. I'm having some Mark Kistler moments here. Secret City! And then I'm going to also have a mask coming up. No, it's more in the center. I'm using a Dritz chalk tool to sketch in here. Just to give myself something to go by. And then I'm going to have a nice little line coming down to that. So part of this, I'm not painting the bucket. Be it known now, I'm not painting the bucket. Thickening this up a little bit. So the important thing to know is that while I do a lot of art and I'm painting a lot of paintings, I don't paint everything easily. Some stuff I work at. We all work at something. All of us. There's something that we just is not like our jam. I'll put the rope in with a little fine brush later. So that's kind of my basic. I think I leaned it too much.
That's all right. You just, it's a lean. It doesn't really matter. I mean, sort of a thing leaning in a boat. Kind of a little bridge thing.
No, it's like a little. I don't know. It's some sort of little cabin of something.
Cabin cruiser guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. So enough. Okay. Let's call that a step. We sketched in the boat.
All right.
However
Boat
we did
sketching.
it, we did it.
It's there.
It's there. We started to put it in and it's there. Now I think I'm going to, I've got my 1/4 inch angle, but I think I'm going to go into my smallest D brush, my number 0 D brush. But what I want is a brush that's going to give me kind of a scratchy surface. And I'm going to start with a little bit of my burnt sienna. And I'm going to brush this first little kind of little plank coming in. And I'm going to come around this side. Brush another little, I don't know what this part of the boat is called, but they all have it.
The edge of the boat.
The edge of the boat, man.
I think is I don't know boat part names, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
I don't know boat part names either. I'm going to bring this down here and kind of say that there's a side of this that I can see. To a side of that boat that I can see. I'm going to leave a little bit of that black there. Come down and make another little board. I'm going to dry brush it in a little bit. So I'm leaving a little bit of that black there. I'm going to do that the whole way down. Another little slat there. Maybe get a little yellow ochre involved. Just plank by plank, we're building the boat up, stripe by stripe.
That seems reasonable.
Now I'm going to come from the bottom. I need to have a, like, there's a white area here, so I'm going to come in and do this one. And I might go ahead and get some gray. Try to hit my white planks if I can. Just a little bit there. Now, I can move slats if I need to by using the black. Like, I can change where the black line is. So, like, if I feel trapped or whatever, I can fix it. Deborah Evans, thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
There you go, matching on the other side. Now I got to do this on the other side coming in. And then I'm done. No, just kidding. A little more brown on there. And these sort of face downward now. So they go down curve this way and these curve out that way. Now I'm going to take a little bit of black. Kind of put my little front, whatever this thing is. Down the front. I'm also going to take a little of my black and ultramarine blue together, mix a little white into it, get some nice gray. I'm going to kind of put a window in there. I think that will look better. I think the pull through the middle of it's going to be visually confusing as we go. All right, there we go. So I've got that little top of that boat. Now I'm going to dry everything. Dry everything.
Dry it all.
Dry it all.
That seems
Dry,
like
dry, 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 dry.
thoroughly dry.
Thoroughly dry.
We have to thoroughly dry. The boat is nearing completion because once the boards go on, then it goes fast. So I'm excited to see how this turns out next. And thank you guys for coming and being here, part of this. This is a longer lesson, so those are a little more complicated for some folks. It's but if you just take the time and do it one step at a time, they're really not that much more complicated. So it's just about taking the time to do it.
About taking the time to what?
Do all the steps.
Yeah, the steps is so many steps.
So many steps.
So many steps. I'm going to get back into my 1/4 inch angle brush. Back into my angle brush. And I'm going to add a little brown to it. And I'm going to move this up just a smidge. And then join that in just a little smidge too. I'm going to take a little bit of white. Brush the underside here. Another little bit of white there. I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad yellow and my Cad red into my yellow ochre. A little more Cad yellow. And I'm going to dry brush some of this color on my boat. It's going to be a little bit like beach here, guys. Just some work. Dry brushing. It is our friend when we're having a hard time in our painting. It gets us through the difficult and challenging things. It makes nice patinas and helps us with our painting. I like dry brushing so much, it keeps me going. Little rough strokes up and down, and sometimes across, sometimes down, just kind of adding to that patina. So you can kind of see that the boards are starting to come through. Just brush a light color down here. Just starting to like define these different little zones, man. Dry brushing it. And it really starts to help this boat feel like the boat that it is. The other big thing we'll do on this boat is once we add the shadow. That's one of the things that's causing the boat to be floating in this space, is we haven't yet added any lighting to it. We're doing okay.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's looking great.
All right, let's come on the other side and do the same thing. A little more yellow. And then get some yellow ochre in there. Grab a little bit of my ultramarine blue. Get it dirty with a little burnt sienna. Come into my white. I don't know why the lower parts of boats are often painted lighter, but they are.
I think because it shows like where the water line should be of a unladen versus laden ship, something like that.
Grab a little black. I've wiped my brush off. I'm trying to make sure there's no hidden drops. Making sure that that looks right. Just pulling those boards and beams. Now, bye, Amy. All right, now we're going to add some more gray. We're going to add some gray patina. So we're going to take a little bit of our burnt sienna and a little bit of our ultramarine blue. Get some white involved. We're going to be making a little bit of a gray. Just rough little bits of irregular brush strokes to sort of show that there's chipping paint. Painting in a little of that patina, a little bit of that roughness of the ship. Kind of like the beach, you just layered up in the colors. It's just a hot mess until it's not. And you could say, I worked hard today. You
Yeah,
could also
did.
say that this is the first time I've done a long painting session like this in a minute.
Yeah, it has been. All at once.
Yeah. If I'd known, I might have broken it up into steps.
Yeah, a couple days.
Couple of days, maybe would have been an well-advised idea. Use the traceable. Give yourself a couple of days. Might have been
Maybe.
an okay thing to do.
You know, Lynn was just asking a question about paints with bead mediums in them that they use on roads. I'm not sure about that.
I have no idea about road paint. I'm adding a little bit of a white highlight here just to patina this as well. Probably have to knock some of it back, but I just want to patina it as well so it's got a little bit of shape. That's maybe a little too much, so I'll come back with a little black. Now while this is all having to dry, let's call this a step. I'm going to put out a little glazing medium. And I think I'm going to grab maybe my Deerfoot stippler. And I think I'm going to use my Dioxazine Purple, perhaps, and my burnt sienna. And a little Mars Black, maybe. I don't want any white. Just want this here. I'm going to come along this bottom line. kind of up to here on the little boat. It's a pretty dark shadow. I'm going to wipe this off. I did not like how the shadow was cast on the reference photo, so I'm doing it a little differently. And take the brush kind of damp and wipe it off. Kind of blend this a little bit. So the shadow's just a little more diffused. See how that just kind of diffuses it a bit? All right. Now I'm going to take my round brush. I'm going to get into my gray, my ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and white. Kind of paint tighter lines on. Let that have a rest for a second. And go ahead and grab a little of my glazing medium if I need to improve the flow of my black. Put up whatever this little masty thing is. Put a little shadow there. We'll come and hit it again. Oh man, I see what I did.
What did you do?
This line needed to go in. Needed to go down.
It did?
So that this side was a little bit shorter.
Oh, I don't know.
Kind of defining a little bit this little outer edge here. So that these slats are a little more jagged.
Oh, yeah.
Have these make them a little more jagged. I'm going to get into a lighter bluer gray. Yeah, no, it's been a minute, sweetheart.
Oh, you're good.
Add some more patina ink.
What you thinking there, deep thought person?
I don't know what I'm thinking.
Just deep in the paint.
Yeah, I'm deep in it. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my ultramarine blue, my phthalo blue and my phthalo green. I'm gonna grab a little white into it. Kind of paint that in there so that like the glass at least looks like glass. Get a little more white into my gray so it's just a little bit lighter. Got a little black. I mean, we're boatish.
Oh, it's very much boating.
Very boat adjacent.
It's very boated.
I'm gonna grab a little burnt sienna. And dash a little of that burnt sienna around. Again, patinaing the boat.
Putting some age on the boat.
Yeah, we're peeling some paint. We are peeling some paint.
Adding the age to the boat.
Adding a little bit of shadow to this front plank. Take that down in so that's like nice and dark. I think what I want is a little more yellow into my orange mix and a little more yellow ochre. Smidge more red. See if that is what I'm looking for. Yeah. So just some lighter wood. Dance that around. Deborah Evans, thank you so much. This is a very small painting compared to this weekend's.
This is a really... It's a boat. A boatload of paint.
It's a boatload of paint to paint this painting. It is a boatload to paint the boatload. All right, I'm going to do a little thing here for a second. I am going to... I feel like I want a little bit of value or cool darkness,
Sure.
like here over all that.
Yep.
So I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and a little bit of my burnt sienna, and wipe it off quite a lot and get some glazing medium. Come along this forward edge here. Yeah. Sometimes you just need a little depth. It's kind of showing like maybe the water has run up and darkened a
yeah.
little of the sand.
Yeah.
Maybe do that to the side here too. Let's just darken a little of the sand. I might also grab a little bit of my yellow and red, just a smidge. And warm the sand just a little, gosh, a tiny bit. See how that kind of comes up there?
Yeah, it makes sort of a little keyhole of light there.
Mm-hmm. And we'll wipe this off. Pick a little bit of my yellow. Boy, we're going to have to wrap up here too.
Oh, we got a little bit.
Come here on the edge and maybe even a little white. I want to like kind of want to glow. I'm going to add a little light to that window. And to this side. Maybe a little will come through here. So there's a little light on that part of the boat. A little of that sunset light on the boat. Kind of coming in. A little more orange. No, it does not go. A little sunlight down that front bow. All right. I feel like I've been in this boat as long as I can be in this boat today. I just can't boat anymore.
It's been a 3-hour tour.
It's literally been, I took you all to Gilligan's Island. I'm sorry. We just there was no professor. There was no Marianne. There was just a lot of splatter for a long time at a beach.
I don't know. It's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
All right. I'm going to take my little brush. And I think I'll just grab my black. And I'm going to roll it on the tip so it's nice. And come to this lower corner. 3-hour tour, literally. Oh my goodness. If you're still here, congratulations.
Oh, yeah, no, a lot of people have been hanging through this whole thing. And congratulations to all of you guys who stayed with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. This was a big one. This one really, really, really
It did. It was a total of 14 steps.
It was a total of 14 steps. A lot going on here. So if you did the watercolor and you wanted to do the acrylic that matched it, we've got this weekend's painting. The thumbnail you see is the finished painting. The traceable is from it. It is long like this one, but I mean, it's a really good one because it's, you know, the mice and the Renaissance thing. That's like my wheelhouse. Like, that's my boat house. That's my wheelhouse. So that lesson rocks. Highly recommend it. I'm a little tired, so I'm going to say this. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Check the description below for links to social media and everything where I'm at. If you want to share with me your boat, which hopefully you did the traceable with your boat. Actually, this came out better than I thought it was going to.
It's a good boat.
So, see, you can freehand something. You don't got to always have it together. I want to see your version of the boat. You can share that in the Art Sherpa official group or any of social media. Hashtag in if you want to see any of the brushes or tools, or you're like, do I need to have that brush for clouds or whatever? Any of the brushes that you saw we have for available at the Art Sherpa store, and that's a great way to support us. If you want to get that Deerfoot stippler, you want to get those hog bristle brushes, you want to grab that little D, any of these colors of paint, some glazing liquid, you know, whatever you need, it's there. We try to help. And just other than your time, and if you did this whole thing, man, leave me a comment. I don't usually ask for comments because I'm not trying to necessarily get the YouTube algorithm to do a trick. But if you did this painting and you finished it and you made it through to the end with me, leave me a comment in this video so that when I'm coming in, I know you guys are hanging in for these big ones. All right. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I will see you at an easel really, really soon. Bye-bye.